The God Emperor of Dune. I am in a very strange place with the Dune franchise because after Dune Messiah, I very much so felt like the story could have stopped there.
I must go into the desert, the exile. It is my destiny.
And this has nothing to do with how hard being an emperor turned out to be. Nothing with that at all. It's not that.
No, destiny.
And I was hesitant to get into Children of Dune, but proving me wrong, it definitely was worth a read. Narratively, I still would have been satisfied if it all had just come to a close after book 2, but book 3 was absolutely a necessary and interesting entry. And that brings us to God Emperor of Dune, the 4th Dune book, and the one I'm pretty definitively going to say is the last Dune book I'll read, at least for the foreseeable future. Because God Emperor of Dune is worth looking into if you're super invested into this universe and the themes that are underlying the story, the narrative of Dune. And also if you want to see Frank Herbert to continue to improve overall as an author in terms of his writing strength. That's something I don't see talked about too much, at least in the discussions of Dune I've gotten into. But wow, Frank Herbert, I would say the first Dune book is written fine, and this last Dune book, in terms of just how bold and rich the prose were, felt fantastic. As well as dropping some of the more, I would say, annoying-ish quirks I personally found he had as a writer earlier on in the series. But where my struggle begins with Dune as a whole at this point is with the narrative. Because as you can probably infer from what I'm saying, I definitely cared about seeing what the results, the ramifications of everything built up to this point were going to be, and the underlying messaging felt poignant and still topical to this day. I'm not gonna be one of those assholes who says it's more relevant now than ever, but it still has its edge. The reason it's written in the time it was written is because it was also poignant then. It's not more so, it's just still topical discussions for global problems. But when it came to the scene-by-scene events of God Emperor of Dune, that is where I felt myself getting uninvested. Due to continuing to follow the golden path, which out of context isn't really a spoiler, Leto has had to make some ultimate sacrifices. And on a thematic level, very interesting, because we are seeing him making a sacrifice that largely does away with his humanity, where on a character level, he is trying to desperately cling onto it. But this thousands and thousands year long reign he has had has provided him a view on people, a perspective that is inherently inhuman. And it's that perspective which allows a leader to make the calls needed to then accelerate, free us from our own unconscious desires of leadership. At least that's what Frank Herbert seems to be putting forward here. This book is about the maturity of the individual and the maturity of a society and what must be done in a dictatorial role to really get humanity where it must go. And there's so much you could say about that on an academic level, and contrast that with I'm not sure how to say that, who is the representation of us in this time, of humans in this reign of a dictator who has been around for so long. What I'm left with is a book where I want to talk with mega fans about the political angles and intrigue and ideas scientifically put forth about psychology, which I did not see coming. But if someone held a gun to my head and was like, what was your favorite scene that made you have like a fist pumping, like, moment? That does not exist at all. And at this point, the impression that the Dune franchise has left on me is one of cost. If there was a single word that I feel like Frank Herbert was really trying to put forth as the destiny of humankind, it is consequences, cost of our own immaturity, our own inability to look into our past, realize our flaws, and push ourselves as a whole forward, because it's easy to develop as an individual. It is incredibly hard to move forward as a society or species. And continually, Dune manages to just lay over this emotion of sorrow. I mean, this is wonderfully put forward in the arc of the spice itself, which was this resource that resulted in colonization and then a religious war and these prophetic visions. But at the end of the day, the answer of how humanity must put forth is to put that behind itself. And this is something that's been brought about in Leto's reign, where the worms are gone, and that's actually deeply upsetting. Like, it feels almost to me as a reader like how there's these wonderful artifacts from dead religions where it's like, that was so important that people put in so much effort to build that, and it's gone. To me, that's just a reflection of these creatures that were, of course, a threat, a monstrous presence when they were around, but looking into their absence, you feel hollow. On a textbook level, that planet is now better, but it is undeniably and arguably lost something. God damn, Frank Herbert is good at getting you, the reader, to just go to ponder. That is one of his greatest strengths as an author. I will go through chapters of a Dune book and never feel that exhilarated, but the concepts covered and the consequences and movements will leave me thinking for hours. Overall, for God Emperor of Dune, I'm feeling a very solid 7 out of 10, with there certainly being angles to this that go far higher than that. But my oh-so-cynical brain is just reminding me here that I never very much so felt emotionally invested in characters, or even at the end of the day, the families that were so central to this narrative. The only reason I finished book 4 was due to wanting to see what was going to happen in the bigger picture. I hate saying that, though, because I know there's inevitably going to be comments where people are saying that's kind of the point, though. You weren't supposed to be, super in there for the emotional blockbuster reason, and it's a more thought-provoking narrative. That's what this lens is supposed to be, and I agree. But I can also think of projects in science fiction itself that cover, in just as nuanced and thought-provoking way, profound themes, but also still carry me in the other entertainment, character investment side of things without any sacrifice. For now, Dune and I are going to be on a break because I am really done with this universe. Not that I don't like it anymore, but I'm satisfied on every level I could conceivably be. And not many fans are saying I need to go forward from here. What if I told you interdimensional demons are coming to make sure that you would never have another delicious breakfast ever again in your life? Well, there's one way you could combat that theoretical scenario, and it's partaking in Magic Spoon's wonderful promotion with their limited cereal snack bars. Magic Spoon is offering the same amazing taste that they've had in their cereal with new, on-the-go, spectacular cereal bars. That's right, you can now have the most important meal of the day, as healthy as can be, in a quick, easy, and convenient scrumptious bar. And let me tell you, there is nothing these interdimensional demons hate more than a goblin who has had a high-protein, low-carb, 0 grams of sugar, gluten-free, grain-free, naturally flavored, nostalgia-filled, delicious breakfast. It's a natural deterrent. If apples keep the doctor away, then Magic Spoon theoretically might be able to possibly keep these demons away. Only 140 calories per serving. That's right, you can go ahead and become a new, stronger, better, well-tuned version of a goblin by just checking out the link in the description down below and using code GOBLIN for $5 off your order. But this has been your latest book review here on the channel. Like and subscribe if you have not already. Check out my merch or books if you'd like to support me in a grander way, or hit the Patreon for like support what I do here. Have a good one, y'all. Peace and bye!